came in our RV. Almost exclusively, almost all of our fixtures take the T10 type. And the other one in our living room above the couch and reclining chairs take the 2-prong fixture. Now, the first LEDs that we bought were this, comes in on a sheet with a wire connector, with a T10 connector. And these I bought about 4 or 5 years ago, and they served us quite well. The color was a little inconsistent, and they weren't that bright, but they sure did us a good job on saving batteries and that. Then I purchased this type, and the LEDs on them were fairly big, and there wasn't that many actual LEDs on the bulb, so I didn't like these too much, and they weren't actually very reliable. These ones, some of the bulbs died after a short period of time, so these were not that great. Next we bought same kind of fixture, but this had a lot more LEDs per bulb, and they're quite a bit smaller. But this light was fairly bright, and I kind of liked them. But again, they weren't that bright. I was still after a brighter bulb. So last year I bought these, and there's about 62 LEDs on every bulb, and these are very, very bright. I'm really quite happy with them. They do come in a couple of color temperatures. I prefer the blue over the yellow, so I ordered the blue, and these are quite bright. We have these in our main living area, in the living room and the kitchen, and so they're doing a pretty good job. This year, to replace some of these bulbs that we had, I bought these, and they were really quite inexpensive. And they're just a circuit board with the T10 connector, and I'm not sure, there's maybe 20 LEDs on each panel, and these are quite bright, and I'm liking these ones for sure. And then also this year, to replace our two-pronged version bulb, I got these LEDs. Now these are encased in a rubber, which is kind of weird, and there's lots of LEDs, and the color is not the blue and it's not the yellow. It's a color that's in between, and I'm pretty impressed with this bulb. This was a little bit more expensive than the other LEDs, and so now let's do a test on how much electricity each of these bulbs use. Okay, so you can see here the readout of the electricity that these bulbs are using, and let's start with the most common bulb. This is the incandescent T10 connection, the most common bulb in our trailer, and it's at 13.3 basically milliamps. 13.3 milliamps. These buggers get pretty hot. Alright, so now let's try the two-pronged version. $16.9 milliamps. Again, that's 16.9 milliamps. Okay, so this is the first LEDs that we bought. They weren't all that bright, but they did save us a lot of electricity. .8 milliamps. 0.8 milliamps. Yeah, 0.82, 0.79. So that's an extremely much lower electricity use, and you can touch them. They're cold. Okay, the next one we bought was this guy, and these I weren't all that happy with. .54 milliamps. 0.54. Now these weren't that good a quality. These weren't that good a quality, nor were they very bright. Okay, the next ones we got these weren't all that bright either. .80 milliamps. Alright, and then probably the most powerful ones that we have, there's about 60 LEDs on this puppy. 1.96 milliamps. Basically 2 milliamps. There we go, we get 2 milliamps. 7 times less battery consumption. 7 times. So we can have 7 of these bulbs on for one of these guys. And these here are very bright. Alright, and the latest bulbs that we got .95 milliamps. So basically 1 milliamp. So we can run 14 of these lights to equal 1 of the incandescents. And these guys, .25 milliamps. 1.25 milliamps. 1.2. So as you can see, and it's cold. It's not even starting to warm up. So I hope that gives you a pretty good idea of the energy consumption used in the bulbs in an RV. And yeah, I hope this helps. Filament bulbs that came with the trailer, and they're the ones that are quite hot, that use 14 milliamps of power. And I'm not going to change the color temperature of the camera or anything like that. And let's see what happens when we change the bulbs. And these are using 1 milliamp versus 14 of the incandescent. So I'm leaving these in because these are definitely the ones I want. Okay, so here, these two lights that I've got here are above our couch and our lounge chairs. These are a little bit different type. These are the 2-prong bulbs, and these are the incandescent. These are the ones that come with the trailer. And they put out a fair amount of light, and they get extremely hot. Okay, and then we're gonna, over here, I've already got the two new ones installed. And that's the two new ones. And that's the two-pronged version. Oh. And then up here we've got LEDs.